What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning Podcast. Today, we're going to be ranking the top 32 wide receivers in the NFL right now. This is not a prediction list. We're going to be doing that closer to the regular season. But without further ado, let's hop into it.
On the field, he was his top 10, like 10th best quarterback.
I disagree. I think as soon as he hit the playoffs, he looked like a bottom 10 quarterback.
Okay.
That counts.
Okay, you love Justin Herbert.
The 2-minute warning.
At number 1, I got Jamar Chase. 2, I got Justin Jefferson. 3, I got Puka Nacua. 4, I got Nico Collins. And at number 5, I got Terry McLaurin.
Whoa. Number 5. Okay, well, we'll have to talk about quite a few things. For me, at number 1, I got Jamar Chase as well, of course. Number 2, I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Whoa.
Number 3, I've got Puka Nacua as well. Number 4, I've got Justin Jefferson. And number 5, I have Nico Collins.
Interesting.
So let's start off with Chase because I think we can agree on this. If you don't have Chase number 1, I don't really know what you're doing anymore. I know a lot of people are like, Jefferson and Chase are 1A, 1B. There's a giant gap between these two guys. Jamar Chase is far and away the best receiver in the NFL right now. Yes, he gets to play with, a top 2 quarterback in the league, and that, of course, benefits him. And also playing on the other side of T. Higgins. But some of Jamar Chase's biggest games of the year were when T. Higgins wasn't even playing. This offense is as good as it is because of him. He's always open. He's able to do everything at an elite level. It's one of the best yards after catch receivers we've ever seen. Like, he's just extremely good at so many things, elite at so many things. We saw him have close to 500 yards against the Ravens this season or something like that. He's just a very elite player, and I don't think it's debatable to put him anywhere but 1.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge gap for me between 1 and 2. I think 2 through 8 are the same tier, very tight together, but 1 completely in its own tier. Jamar Chase, just like what he had, 1,800 yards. He had the Triple Crown. Even before that, he was getting 1,400 yards every season, or at least for 2 seasons before that. And obviously, people's argument is, Justin Jefferson played with Sam Darnold and Chase had Burrow, but he does so much that even a bad quarterback would be able to,
100%.
Some receivers are very quarterback dependent, and you need an accurate quarterback who can put the ball on you deep and stuff. But for him, he does so much of his work after the catch that you don't really need a phenomenal quarterback to unlock all of his abilities. Yeah,
and I completely agree with that. And since Justin Jefferson's your number 2, I think we'll slide into that with this. Obviously Justin Jefferson does play with the worst quarterback. Nobody's arguing that that's not the case. However, I think what isn't talked about enough is the scheming. I mean, Chase is not in a scheme that is very good at all. Him and Burrow kind of just make it up on the fly, which is awesome for them, and they're really good at that. But having the scheme that Jefferson does is extremely beneficial, and it helps him get a lot more stats than maybe he would otherwise. I think if you swap them positions, Jefferson might even go down in yards, if I'm being completely honest, from what he did last season. And obviously he had a very productive year, so that's not an insane thing to say. However, going from Sam Darnold to Joe Burrow is a huge gap, and you would expect him to get way more yards, but I just don't even think that would happen. I think he's super, super, benefiting from that system, and that's not necessarily his fault. That's a system he got drafted into that's awesome for him. It helps him. It helped him become the player that he is. He's elite because of that, but I also think that it's just not talked about enough that Kevin O'Connell is one of the best offensive minds in the league, and he made Sam Darnold look like a top 10 quarterback for most of the regular season. Obviously Justin Jefferson helped with that, but I think Kevin O'Connell's really helping with JJ too. Yeah,
a lot of the reason why they have similar numbers, but Chase just doesn't get the volume. It feels like, I know he had a bunch more targets, but he's just open a lot more in my opinion. It feels like the first read is almost always Jefferson. They're always trying to get him the ball, while Chase is just he's open. He can make a play, instead of Jefferson, where it feels like he gets locked down by bum corners all the time. Amik Robertson absolutely locked him down. Yeah. And Jair, I mean, he's not a bum corner, obviously. One catch that one game. If teams try to stop him, they can. And for Chase, no one stops Chase.
I mean, for example, talking about Jefferson, getting locked down, I really do think he's just super scheme dependent. That's another thing that shows you're scheme dependent. Whenever they counter Kevin O'Connell's scheme, the Lions, it wasn't necessarily Amik Robertson locking him down, but their defense really out-schemed the Vikings offense in that last game of the season. If you watch the whole game from start to finish, their offense wasn't doing anything. Obviously, they got to the red zone a couple times and they weren't able to score, but they were just scheming really well. They knew exactly what the Vikings wanted to come out and do from the first time they played, and they were able to put a stop to it. And when Jefferson is uncomfortable, he's not elite. And that's why I don't have him any higher than 4. I think he's a very elite wide receiver. He shows all of the traits that you want in a wide receiver, obviously. But there's a guy like Jamar Chase, who takes over a game. Even when the scheme is not in favor of him, or the defense has his number, whatever it is, he's still able to put out a good showing. But there's games where Jefferson's completely locked down. For example, the Broncos defense this season, obviously he still struggled against Patrick Surtain, but he was still able to get a few catches on Surtain, get about 30, 40 yards or something like that. And obviously, whenever Surtain wasn't on him for the few plays that he wasn't, he was able to make the most of those against Riley Moss. And I think he had like almost 80 yards in that game, or maybe more, even though we schemed everything to stop him specifically. And also, taking away him, we put so many resources into taking away him that T. Higgins had a 3-touchdown game. So, he really, really opens up the field for everybody else. But when Jefferson gets locked down, the whole offense kind of stops, if you notice that. Nobody else is able to open. And obviously that's talking about how maybe the offense around him is not amazing, but we know it is. There's a lot of really good weapons around him. It's just that he tends to either, your offense is really good and he's really good, or your offense is really bad and he's really bad. He doesn't necessarily elevate it to a super, high level, in my opinion.
I mean, I get that, but, you have Amon-Ra too. Justin Jefferson's a very complete receiver. He can win in any way you want, get you the big play, get you the consistent route, making the separation, which is obviously what Amon-Ra's best at. But Amon-Ra's never going to get me the big 40-yard play that I might need in a certain scenario. Like when Jefferson had that one-hand catch on third and or was it fourth down?
Yeah, 4th and 18.
Yeah, against the Bills. Amon-Ra is never making that play. I just think he's limited as a wide receiver 1, which is why I haven't set him yet. But
yeah, I think it's crazy he's not in your top 5. I don't know. I just those are obviously the reasons I have JJ a little bit lower than people are going to be happy about. Obviously, everyone thinks he's a 1A, 1B. With Chase, we talked about why we don't think that. But the reason I have Amon-Ra so high and above him is because you talk about how Jefferson's a complete receiver. I think Amon-Ra is the definition of a complete receiver. He's everything that you want and more. And I think in most case scenarios, he's actually better than Jefferson at most things. The one thing that he's not, obviously he's smaller. He's not going to go up there and high point the ball as well as Jefferson. But he's even showcased the ability to do that in some scenarios. Obviously, if he's going up against a really tall, athletic corner, it's not going to be as easy. But he knows how to win in other ways in those scenarios. He knows what he needs to do to win in any matchup. He, like you said, he's really good at separator, and he's sure-handed as all get out. I think he's the most sure-hand guy in the league probably when it comes to just never dropping the ball. He's going to be there when you need him. I think that if we want to talk about, stats and scheming, St. Brown does not get the opportunities that the other two guys that we've talked about do. Not even close. I don't think he gets anywhere near the volume that Jefferson does. And you talked about how Jefferson might have less targets than Chase. Targets don't factor in the amount of PI calls he gets. I've never seen someone gives me PI calls, and they're not everyone's like, oh, Jefferson's just so good at drawing PI. He's not even that good at drawing PI. They just throw the flag if he doesn't catch the ball. I've never seen anything like it. It's insane. I think about that Jets game. I think he had 5 PI calls. That's not even being exaggeration. I think he actually had 5 in one game, which is absolutely insane. So those all are targets that don't get counted towards Jefferson. And like I said, the whole offense goes stagnant when he isn't getting the ball. It's because the whole offense is schemed for him. Amon-Ra doesn't have that, and he's still able to put up these amazing numbers. And there are obviously benefits to having other guys be focal points of the offense, so they have to focus on them as well. However, Amon-Ra, if he was a focal point of the offense, like a Jefferson would, he would put up even better stats than Jefferson because he's more consistent, more reliable, and even though he's not as flashy and he's not a traditional X wide receiver, number 1 wide receiver, he plays in the slot, and that's not a number 1 in most people's eyes, and I think that's why he's so underrated, but it doesn't mean he can't be, and he's shown that he can be. What doesn't get talked about in receivers, he's the best blocking wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. He's phenomenal at it, especially for his size. It's actually insane. He's phenomenal blocking in the run game. He's going to give you plays hard out. He's an amazing route runner. He's short-handed. He's good after the catch. He's good at everything that you want a wide receiver to be, and I just don't understand how he's not in the top 5 because there's just nothing he does poorly.
I mean, I just like his size limitations, his limitations, where he's best in the slot. He's never going to get you the big play, as I said.
That's just not true. He's going to get big plays.
He does not get big plays.
In a different way. He does.
If you call a 20-yard play a big play,
he gets 20 to 40 all the time.
He does not get 40 yards.
He does.
I don't know if I've seen him get 40 yards.
I have him on my fantasy team. I know he gets 40 yards.
Oh my gosh.
I do.
But he's also benefited by the fact that they have one of the best run games in the league, one of the best offensive lines in the league, a quarterback who is limited, but like he's limited where it helps Amon-Ra because he's not good at the deep ball. His best work is in the short to intermediate range, which is where Amon-Ra's best. So he basically is like, oh, well, I throw short, he runs short, you know? If like Jamison Williams is kind of hurt by that a little bit.
He throws to Jamison all the time, man.
Jamison had like 50 catches.
Yeah, because he's a deep
No, but
threat.
he doesn't play like a pure deep threat. That's
And
just
he
what you
does a
see on the
lot.
highlights.
And he does a lot.
Yeah, I know, but like he's not a full-time deep threat. He still plays like regular route concepts.
He definitely can get a big play. I don't know why you think that. And obviously, Goff likes to throw underneath. He doesn't but the scheme doesn't throw underneath all the time. A lot of the time, most routes that Amon-Ra runs, he's the second option on a play. He's almost never the first option. And I would love to see a scheme where he gets to be the first option because he's putting up, what did he have last year, 1,400 yards? With being the second look on most plays. But he's always open, so he's getting 1,400 yards because every single time the first read's not open, he's looking at Amon-Ra, he's there. But Amon-Ra's always open. Always. And so every single time he saw him, he'd get those yards. And so I really think that, like, you say Goff benefits, Amon-Ra benefits from Goff, but even if that's the case, I don't think it's benefiting him more than, like, any of the other quarterbacks would. Like, Burrow would benefit him way more, even though his
Yeah, well,
play
that's
style
because
doesn't.
Burrow's just a way better quarterback. I'm saying, like, at the tier of Goff, like, if he had a guy like Jordan Love who likes to push the ball downfield, he's not going to play as well. And those guys are, I obviously think Goff is better, but, like, same tier of quarterbacks. I don't know if you agree with that. Well, like Baker. Like, Baker wouldn't benefit him.
I think he would.
Actually, Baker really likes slots. I was thinking about guys that like to push the ball down the field.
Even if you like to push the ball down the field, people that like to push the ball down the field still hit that medium route. Like, I'd love to see him, like, obviously what you're saying is he runs a lot of really short routes, but he is good in the intermediate range. Like, just running a little bit deeper and these guys are able to hit him more, he'd have so many more yards. Like, if you gave him the Justin Jefferson routes, he'd be able to run most of them better. The only thing that you're bringing up is, like, the one-handed catch. Yes, that was a phenomenal play. He made it one time.
No, I'm
Maybe
just saying, like,
Amon-Ra wouldn't have been able to make that, but Amon-Ra has surprisingly good high-point ability for his size.
Yeah, for his size. But I want a receiver who can actually high point it. Not like, oh, you can high point it against a 6-foot corner because you're 5'11".
But he showcased that you don't need that necessarily. Like, he's
Yeah,
capable of
if you're
winning every
winning-
other way.
If you're winning, your team's playing well, you don't need that. But, like, there's going to be times where, like, you need a big play, and obviously they don't go to him in those scenarios.
They
where
do
they
a
need,
lot of
where
the
they need
time.
30 yards.
Yeah, they do. They run him down and like they run him like 20 yards and hope that he can get after the catch. I think in the Packers game it was like 3rd and 20 or something, and they threw
Yeah,
it to
that's
him.
because it's Keyshawn Nixon was on him. Like, that
Okay,
does not count.
That's not a good excuse.
I
They
could get
threw-
open
they
on
went-
Keyshawn
Did they
Nixon.
go to him in the big play, the biggest play of the game?
That was not the biggest play of the
It
game.
was. That
No,
was
the biggest play of the
factor.
game.
They would have punted to you guys.
It was
you guys
one of the
would've won.
runs.
You folded it too.
There was one. There was one, like, something weird happened. Maybe Goff fell over.
Yeah, that was the last play of the game. But
That was a lot bigger of a play, in my opinion.
well, 3rd and 20 that you guys would have gotten the ball tied game and been able to march down the field pretty easily and kick a field goal. I mean, that's a game-changing play that Amon-Ra was able to make because just because it's not it's 4th down, so I need to throw
Dude,
it up.
my wide receiver, like 20 or like 45, is making that play.
No,
against
no,
Keyshawn Nixon.
What I'm trying to tell you is that Amon-Ra, just because he's not a 4th and 20, you're going to throw it up to him. He's a 4th and 20, I'm going to get open and make a play, which I'd much rather have than just taking a 50-50 ball because that's actually more reliable if the guy can get open, and he's a way more reliable at getting open than Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson's a really good route runner.
He is. He is a great route runner. But do you know how many plays I see from Justin Jefferson? He's just wide open because of the scheme. Let's talk about the Falcons game. What did you have, 150 yards that were all just because he was sitting there? I saw a play the other day where Jefferson was just waving. He was just sitting there for like 20 minutes, and somehow Darnold didn't see him for like 20 minutes, and he was just sitting there in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, so he could have had a better season. If he had a better quarterback. Is that
Oh
what
my
you're
gosh.
proving? Okay, well, we should probably move on. That's been like 20 minutes.
Let's talk about Puka. I'm surprised you put him at 3.
Well, whenever I talk about Puka, I'm like always hesitant that he's a top 3 receiver.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you look at the receivers, as I said, 2 through 8, same tier. There's just so many good, not necessarily like elite receivers like Puka. But Puka does everything super well. And we've he had like 1,400 yards and like 1,300 yards in his last 2 seasons. So he's been super consistent. Even when his first season, he had to like work for everything. He was like the 3rd option the week 1. Like, I guess he was a first option because he was always open. But like going into the season, no one expected him to do anything. He had to beat out all their receivers. He ended up playing better than Cooper Kupp, who was at that time considered to be a number 1 caliber receiver. And best body control in the league, maybe. Like his hands are pretty good, and like obviously has some concentration drops and stuff, and he's super athletic, which people just don't really talk about.
Yeah, I think going back to the thing you said where like there's just not a lot of elite receivers, I disagree with that. I think there's a lot of elite caliber receivers. I just think Chase is another level of elite, but I still think there's a lot of elite receivers. I think that's the thing though. There's a lot of elite receivers, and then there's a ton of really good receivers. The receiver talent right now is just absolutely insane. But Puka doesn't get talked about enough, in my personal opinion. People are kind of starting to talk about him a little bit more. With Adams signing, but even there's so many people that think Adams is going to be a better receiver for them than Puka, and I just strongly disagree with that. Puka, coming out as a 6th round pick, I think, right? 6th round pick, like no one expected him to do anything, obviously. Had an historic rookie season. And then this season he struggled with some injuries, but he's still elite when he played. Like so elite when he played. You can just see that the Rams, like they go through him in a way because he's just so elite. Like he just does everything you need him to. He's always open. He's able to catch the ball. He makes crazy catches on the sideline. Like I think about that sideline grab with like the toes. Like they could not have been like less in. Like it was crazy. He's just everything you need in a receiver, and I don't know why he doesn't get as much love as he should.
I mean, it's because, as you said, he got injured. He's never been like all these guys. Like Jefferson is their offensive game plan. Chase is their offensive game plan. And it doesn't really feel like Nacua is their offensive game plan, in my opinion. Like, they want to run the ball with Kyren. Stafford wants to spread the ball, wants to have a good number 2 receiver, clearly, I assume, as they moved on from Kupp. The second he wasn't, and got Adams, who's we're going to be talking about eventually. Yeah.
So, yeah, I completely agree. And then number 5 for me was Nico Collins. You had him at 4. I almost put him outside the top 5. I was debating between him and number 6 for me. He's very good. He kind of took a step back towards the end of the year, though, from what he started on. Maybe that has something to do with all the injuries towards their offense. The wide receivers going down. He was playing with a number 2 that was, like, not good by the end of the season, which obviously hurts your production. And C.J. Stroud almost never had the time to throw him the ball. So, with how bad the offensive line was, I don't know why you look confused. I mean, it's just how it is.
I mean, I think it's a little bit overrated how bad their offensive line was last year. It wasn't like absolutely horrendous for the whole season.
It was like historically bad.
It was not.
Like according to pressure rate, it actually was historically bad. Like I will keep bringing it up until you realize it. You think that he was pressured too much in the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes. He had a lower average, like C.J. Stroud's average pressure rate was higher than that. So on average, we're watching, these guys get through 40% of the time.
It's not 40.
It was. It's
not 40.
It was actually close to 40. It was like 37.
It was probably like 33.
It was 37 or something. Like I swear. Like that's how bad it was. That is historically bad. So I don't know why we're talking about C.J. Stroud, but like...
Also, like, I don't know how your Texans win prediction was what it was then if they literally lost Tunsil.
Yeah, their offensive line was absolutely horrendous, but Nico is still able to thrive in a lot of scenarios. Beginning of a season, I think he was leading the league, right, in yards before he got hurt, unfortunately, but he's very elite going deep down the field. I think that's where he thrives the most, going vertical, but he can win in so many ways. He can win, in the slant game, the intermediate game, so... just a complete wide receiver, someone that you want for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why he wasn't even higher for me and like above Puka or like Jefferson is because I don't really ever see him getting involved in the short game. It always feels like he's running 10 plus yards. Like,
oh yeah, I mean,
and you want a guy who can do everything because as I was kind of saying, like with Amon-Ra, I don't like him, like love him just because he's not the deep threat guy. He can't be that. But like again, if you can't be a short threat at all, that's also a problem because in the red zone, like. Nico basically it's just like a fade route instead of like the success rate on fade routes.
It's not high.
It's not high. And like obviously elite jump ball receivers, that's what they do. But I'd rather have a guy in the red zone like Amon-Ra or Jefferson who can just run a slant and get that separation.
Yeah, and not to spoil any of our list, but we've talked about Brian Thomas a few times on previous episodes, talking about how he's kind of a deep threat, so that limits his ceiling. And that's kind of what I kind of see with Nico in a way of like. Can he ever be a top 3 receiver? I don't really know because it depends if he can really open up that game. Like I think he is good in the intermediate game, like a medium slant or whatever, like not quite a post, but a little bit further. I've seen him run so many slants and get thrown at the first down marker, or a little bit further than that. But he doesn't ever run routes behind the first down marker, like you said, and so that really limits your game. And so in a way, I'd rather you be a short threat than a deep threat. Because you can have more options, which is why I have Amon-Ra higher, obviously. But I think that's kind of a very similar situation, those two players. But let's talk about the last player in your top 5. Shocked to see him there, Terry McLaurin.
I wonder where you have him. I saw a stat where it was like his passer rating when targeted for like him, like Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota, it was like 140, which is absolutely insane, especially for a guy who's like running down the field, catching 50-50 balls. I don't think either of them threw a pick to Terry McLaurin all season because he's just like, he boxes people out. Even if he doesn't end up catching it, it's not a pick.
Right.
And like obviously he's another guy who doesn't exactly run slants to get open, but like he's like so underrated. He helped Jaden Daniels so much. Mm-hmm. If Jaden Daniels didn't have Terry McLaurin, he would not have had the season he had. I think 100%. McLaurin was probably the biggest part to their offensive success. This is like obviously McLaurin needed a good quarterback to be unlocked. Like his whole career was like, who was the best quarterback he had? I'm trying to remember. It was someone really bad. It was
bad. Not good. Maybe did he have? Was he? No, Alex Smith was gone.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but it was
Kirk. Maybe was Kirk Cousins ever there? I don't think it was
Kirk.
Yeah, it's someone terrible then. Mm-hmm. Like really bad.
Yeah. So obviously now that he finally gets an NFL caliber quarterback, he goes off. I'm surprised more people don't like him, especially for how much people like the Commanders' offense. It's like Jaden Daniels. They just kind of give him all the credit when I think McLaurin is deserving of a lot of that credit.
I mean, I think that's fair. The reason I have him lower than you're probably going to expect is because I just think that he is super limited. Like, he's so elite. I think he's the best jump ball receiver somehow in the league, which doesn't really make any sense. But he also is. He's a really, really good deep threat. And he's up there for best hands in the league, in my opinion. That doesn't ever get talked about, I feel like. But Terry McLaurin has incredible hands, and he catches so many touchdowns. He is lacking in the yards department statistically wise. I think he was just over 1,000.
There's no way.
He actually is. Like, I think he's 1,050 or something like that. 12 touchdowns, though. Like, very good touchdown numbers. I'll let you look this up real fast. How many yards did he have?
It's so annoying. It doesn't show me this.
Doesn't show you right away. I just think I think he's very.
Yeah, he only had 1,100 yards.
Yeah, so he had the same amount of yards as Courtland Sutton, which is like really crazy to think about. Obviously, he's on a different tier than Courtland Sutton. So I just think that to have a number one receiver that's a little bit limited in that yardage, the chunk plays, like he's got huge chunk play potential, right? Mm-hmm. But he's not getting as much volume as these other guys because he's not open as much as the other guys. I think that's where he kind of struggles a little bit. Like you said, he's not good in like the short route. He doesn't ever run short routes. I don't even see him running intermediate routes that often. Like he's almost always going deep. And so it's hard for me to put you anywhere near the top 5 if you can only go deep. And he's so elite at it. I know that. Without him, Jaden Daniels doesn't have this rookie season. I completely 110% agree on that. But I just think you're talking about how you don't like Amon-Ra as a number one receiver. I think Terry McLaurin's style of receiver is 10 times worse to have as number one. It just doesn't make any sense to me to have Amon-Ra style who's consistent, open all the time, quarterback friendly, compared to a guy that is basically only a deep threat with just really short 50-50 potential, limited yards, and just a lot of touchdowns. Like that's just what Courtland Sutton has been the last 2 seasons. And as a guy who's watched Courtland Sutton the last 2 seasons, he's a good receiver. Is he anywhere near a top 5 receiver? No. And obviously, Terry McLaurin is much better at what their style of play than Courtland Sutton is. However, there's only so far that style can take you, in my opinion.
Interesting. I think a big part of Jaden Daniels, like everybody loving him, was like that. Was it week 2 or week 3 against the Bengals?
Yeah.
He had I think it might have been 2 deep touchdowns to Terry McLaurin that game. Mm-hmm. And without that, Jaden Daniels doesn't really get that momentum that he got at the start of the season, where basically we were talking about it. We didn't like Jaden Daniels coming out, and we were like, his completion percentage is so high just because he's checking it down. And then we watched that game, and it's like he's checking it deep, but all of his deep passes were to Terry McLaurin. So it's like...
Well, that's why his completion percentage is so high. Like when you chuck it deep, that is like it's super helpful to have him. Mm-hmm. But he's so one-dimensional. He doesn't do anything else.
That's why he's only 5.
Yeah, but 5 is crazy for a guy who can only do one thing.
Like, Amon-Ra can only do one thing, run short routes.
That's just not true. He can do multiple things. He's good at everything. But let's move on from the top 5. We've been on here for a while, so let's go 6 through 10. What you got?
6, I got A.J. Brown. 7, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. 8, I have CeeDee Lamb. 9, I have Brian Thomas Jr. And 10, I have Malik Neighbors.
So very similar. We have, I think, 3 of the ones you said I have the exact same spot.
Huh.
So 6, I have A.J. Brown as well. 7, I have CeeDee Lamb. 8, I have Chris Godwin.
Whoa.
Yeah, 9 I have BTJ, and 10 I have Neighbors. So I do not have Terry in my top 10.
Okay, is that the only one that you didn't have in your top 10? There has to be someone else, right?
No, I think I swapped Chris Godwin with Terry.
Okay, that makes sense.
So let's talk about A.J. Brown first. Obviously a really good receiver. There is a little bit of health concerns. Doesn't ever seem to play the whole season. Another guy that is pretty one-dimensional as well, although I think that there is some other parts of his game. Like, he just doesn't run those routes as often, but when he has, he's showcased his ability to do so. I think to the playoffs, A.J. Brown, I saw him run multiple short to intermediate routes to a really high level. He's obviously not an elite route runner or anything, but he is an incredible possession receiver. Just really consistent. Another one of those guys, you chuck it up and he's going to come down with it a lot of the time. Really quarterback friendly. Just a really good, solid all-around receiver, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he's one of the weird players where he runs a go route, and I swear he always has like half the yard of separation, and then he just boxes them out at the end of the play. Mm-hmm. So like no matter where the ball's thrown, he always is like the first one to get to the ball, first one to get hands on it. Sure. Like obviously, yeah, as you said, he's pretty limited, which is why he's only 6. I mean, PFF had him number 1.
Yeah, that was insane.
Interesting. But he's been very consistent.
Over Chase is wild. Like, they're not even in the same realm.
To be fair, he has to post Jalen Hurts, who is one of the weakest arms in the NFL.
Oh, my gosh. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback, though.
I know, but he's the worst. He's the worst out of the quarterbacks we've talked about. Receivers for, right?
You think he's worse than Stroud?
Oh, and like I guess Stroud's worse.
You think he's worse than Sam Darnold?
Oh, well, I was thinking about. Oh, not McCarthy either. Oh, besides those two.
Okay, you think he's worse than Jane Daniels?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I think he's
good for you.
Anyway, keep going.
Okay, and we'll keep going with what?
Just, do you have anything else to say about A.J. Brown?
Not really. He's been super consistent ever since joining the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Even before the Eagles, he was getting like 1,000 yards on the Titans, which
he was a good receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they traded him for Traylon Burks.
That's so embarrassing.
One of the worst trades right now, but yeah. And then number 7, CeeDee Lamb. I thought I'd have him lower than you. Crazy, since I'm like a CD hater in a way, that you have him higher than me or lower than me. CD is just consistent, another consistent guy. He gets open a lot. Mm-hmm. He's not really like I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't think he's like a jump ball receiver at all. Like, I think he's
not really. He's good at it.
I think he's bad at it.
No, I feel like he's a player. It's not his play style at all, but I feel like people act like it is.
Yeah,
but I feel like it should be an underrated aspect of his game, but you know what I mean?
I think it's just very overrated because
it's good though.
Like, I think Amon-Ra is the same good at that.
No,
like for real.
No,
but he's mainly a route runner, like get open type guy, get a lot of targets. My problem with him has always been the amount of volume that he gets compared to the amount of yards and stuff he gets. He's just kind of inefficient in that category. But if you're getting that amount of volume, there's a reason for it. You're still a very good receiver. I just think people that act like he's a top 3 guy, a top 5 guy, that's just a little, top 3 is way too much, top 5 is a little too much. I just think that he just doesn't have the ability that these other guys ahead of him do. Obviously, he's had really good games, but I don't see like an ability to take over a game necessarily, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I've never been a huge fan of CeeDee Lamb, but I have to respect that he is obviously an elite wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably top 3 run after catch receiver in the NFL, in my opinion. He's so dynamic with the ball in his hands. He can also create that separation. He's a super complete receiver, which I know the last few we've been talking about, they're one-dimensional, but they're amazing at that one dimension, and I don't feel like CD is besides run after catch, which if that's all you have, like Deebo Samuel, when he was amazing, he was not top 10. In my opinion.
That's just not true.
He had 1 year, and he was
that 1 year he was like a top 3 receiver, bro.
No,
like,
he was
not. Insane.
He was not.
He was insane.
He was not.
He was. You did not watch him then. Like, he was insane that year. Obviously, he's not anywhere near
3.
He was so good that year. Didn't he have close to 2,000 total yards? Like with rushing and stuff.
He had like 1,300 maybe. Like
with rushing.
No, maybe not with rushing, but. I think you're overrating his season.
He was running a ton.
I had him in fantasy that year. He wasn't like crazy.
He was like elite in the playoffs too. Like, he was so good that one season, I believe. But
I think you're overrating how good he was.
He was elite in the playoff run. Do you remember the playoff run that he went on?
So I guess he did have 1,400 receiving yards that year.
And how many rushing?
300.
So 1,700 total yards.
That's not top 3 though. Like, because you're counting rushing, and for no one else you're counting rushing.
Yeah, because no one else rushed. But like also you have to look at the fact that like in do you remember that playoff run where they played I think that was the year they played the Rams in the championship game?
Mm-hmm.
And like he was the heart of their entire team. You remember like when they had to go over to him and like all the Rams players were like going over telling him how such a good job he did because he almost won them the game single-handedly. Like he was an elite receiver that season. Obviously never been the same since anywhere close, but ever since getting paid. But just because you're a good yard after the catch, he wasn't just yard after the catch. I think is what you're trying to get at. Is like if that's your main thing. Like obviously that was Debo's main thing too, but he was really good too. Elite at so many other things, and CeeDee Lamb's just kind of like good at a lot of things, and then elite at that. So I understand that thought process for sure. Number 8 for me though was Chris Godwin.
That's
not in your top
surprising.
10. I thought he might be there.
Well, I mean, I get what you mean. Like, he was so productive. That's
So
like
good.
I think most productive receiver before he got hurt.
Yeah.
But like he just tore his ACL. I think he had an ACL or a major injury a couple years ago at least, like super recently. And I'm pretty sure.
Maybe.
And like just another one, like I think he's gonna like I know this is kind of like not a prediction list, but again, it's like what they are right now. And right now, if he came into the season, I'd be surprised if he was playing at a top 8 level, even after he like feels fully healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean
And-
that's definitely a fair argument.
Yeah, but I do have him obviously coming up soonish.
I mean,
But-
if I was more worried about the injury, he'd obviously be lower. But I think if he plays at the level he did before he got hurt, he's easily a top 8 receiver in the league.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's why I have him here. I just think he was so productive before his season. Obviously, he's in an offense that favors that. However, like he was always open. He was amazing, just like everything, like so good. I remember watching a few Bucs games and just being like, dude, this guy cannot be stopped. And like it was just like a huge change because obviously Chris Godwin was really good the year before, but he was nowhere near this elite. He was miles better than Mike Evans in my opinion. And people just like hate to hear that for some reason. They think Mike Evans is like a god, but he was nowhere near Chris Godwin in my opinion. And Chris Godwin, Mike Evans is a good receiver. Don't get me wrong, he's a great receiver. So when Chris Godwin's able to outperform him that much, it shows just how good Chris Godwin was in that whatever it was 8-week stretch. Who was your number 8 though? It was different.
My
Or
number 8
Sadie.
was CD.
So who was your 7?
My 7,
Is it Amon-Ra?
Amon-Ra, yeah.
So we've already talked about him. Number 9, BTJ. The same, and Neighbors is the same. So I guess we can talk about them both. They were very close. And like obviously, when I got into the list, I knew I was going to put them one spot wherever they were. Wherever Brian Thomas was, is going to be one spot above Malik Neighbors. I think just disclaimer: this season Neighbors will pass Brian Thomas. I think. I think that's almost certain. Especially with Russ, he complements him really well. I think he's going to play really well with Russ, open up another dimension of him.
Such a Russ.
No, I'm not. He's going.
You are.
He's going from Tommy DeVito, Daniel Jones, and Drew Lock to
Is that
Russell
an
Wilson.
upgrade? Just kidding.
That's a ginormous upgrade.
Yeah, I guess.
And I don't know. I think that, we talked about earlier how deep threats kind of are limited. Neighbors is such a complete package that he's going to pass Brian Thomas. But this season, when Malik Neighbors wasn't able to, fully tap into his full potential, obviously. He was so good for a rookie, but Brian Thomas was even better for a rookie. So many yards left on the field by people like Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence, and obviously that happened to Neighbors a lot, but I think it happened even more to Brian Thomas. And Brian Thomas still outperformed on the stat sheet. He was able, with way less volume, he was able to put up better numbers. Really was like their entire offense this season. Same with Neighbors, but like both these guys are just phenomenal, like historically good rookies. Like this might go down as the best rookie draft class, wide receiver wise, ever. Just absolutely insane. We have another rookie that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, so it's like just crazy to think about. But these two guys are already top 10 in my opinion, and I think both these guys could easily be top 5 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, basically just what you said. We talk about them, I swear, every episode.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Brian Thomas, like, I don't know how good he's going to be, if he's ever going to be a top 3 guy, probably not. But he was so good in his rookie season that I think he'll probably end up being a top 5 receiver. Neighbors might end up being the best receiver in the NFL.
Like, that's how good he is. He's absolutely insane. But moving on past the top 10, that's everybody in your top 10, correct? Moving on past the top 10, we have 11 through 15. You want to get started?
At 11, I have Devontae Adams.
Okay.
12, I have T. Higgins. 13, I have Drake London. 14, I have Lad McConkey. And 15, I have Rashee Rice. I think there's a chance that you might not have a single one in your...
Yeah, so we're getting a little bit different now.
Yeah.
So number 11, I have Tyreek Hill.
Whoa.
Number 12, I have Terry McLaurin.
Okay.
Number 13, I have Devontae Adams. 14, I have Lad McConkey. And 15, I have Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Whoa, I thought I liked Jack Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought he was going to be like 12 for you, to be honest. But okay, let's start off with who was your 11 again?
Devontae.
Let's start off with Adams. I had him 13, so pretty similar spots here. He's just really good still. Kind of underrated by some people, kind of really overrated by some people. I really think he's going to thrive this season with Stafford, obviously. And getting to be the second option on the team is actually crazy for him. That duo is just going to be absolutely ridiculous. But Adams is very good at so many things. He's one of the best route runners this game has ever seen, if not the best. And obviously he's not as good as he used to be. He's not in his prime anymore. But he still has so many elite capabilities. I think it was week 17. Maybe it was a little bit sooner than that. He had like a huge game just because no one could guard him. And if that's when Aaron Rodgers kind of figured it out, got back to fully healthy. This season, Matthew Stafford, he's an elite quarterback. This is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL in both of our opinions. And so getting to play with that, he's just gonna be able to showcase it because he's open a lot. And I think that he played on the Raiders for a while, so he's not getting talked about a ton. He's getting played on the Jets for a while. He's not going to get talked about a ton. Now he's in LA. He's going to get talked about plenty. It just depends if he can put the stats on the sheet that he is expected to, and I really think he's going to be able to go above and beyond in that. I think this is a duo that could have 3,000 yards combined easily.
I don't know about easily. That's really hard to do.
That is how good this duo is. Though. That's just one of them having 1,600, one of them having 1,400. That's not out of the picture.
Yeah, but Puka at BYU, who's hurt a lot. Last year got hurt.
That's true. Assuming they're both healthy.
I still think that's pretty crazy, but I really like Devontae. Obviously, he's my favorite player of all time, probably. And obviously, as you said, last season, at the end of the season, he was cooking. He was probably a top 5 receiver the last 6 weeks of the season.
For sure.
And you look at Aaron Rodgers' statistics, we have been a little bit with the blind comparisons. It ended up saving Rodgers' season the end of the season. And same with Adams. I don't exactly remember how many yards he had, but I think, did he eclipse 1,000 yards?
I think he did.
He was just barely there, just barely under. And he did nothing at the beginning of the year.
Right,
it was just all at the end of the year. He had 150 yards, 3-ish games at the end of the year, something like that, ridiculous. And he still got it. I don't know, he's going to fall off eventually, but his game is just going to, he'll probably have at least 2 years left in my opinion. So.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, obviously, I probably shouldn't have said easily for the 3,000 yard
thing. That's a lot.
But I think it definitely could happen. I think it's actually a real possibility. So, I don't know if that's ever happened before. Probably, maybe.
Maybe, Cup. Do you think someone with Cup had 2,000 that one year, right? Or is he just under
close.
it? I think it was 1,900.
Yeah, but when you have that much volume, it's really hard to get a second player that much volume. So
but you only need 1,100 for the second guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Who else would have gotten that?
Robert Woods.
Yeah, that's just not happening.
Odell.
No,
I don't think he
wasn't
played
good
enough.
In the regular season. He was only good in the Super Bowl for some reason, and some of the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a really good receiver. Going on to my number 11, Tyreek Hill. We talked about this before without telling each other where he was, but it's very hard to know what to do with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill 2 seasons ago, I think it was 2 seasons ago, unless I'm tripping, it was 3, but 2 seasons ago, I believe he was the best receiver in the NFL. So unbelievably good. And the thing about Tyreek Hill is he's not the best at anything in the NFL, in my opinion.
Besides speed.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. He's not the best at yards after the catch. He's not the best at route running. He's not the best at jump balls. He's not best at anything. But his speed is so much of an advantage that it puts him up there every single time. This last season, there were so many injuries at the quarterback position. You think about Skylar Thompson playing quarterback for them, Tim Boyle playing quarterback for them. Even when Tua did play, he looked not anywhere near as good as he was the year before, and that wasn't even saying that much. He just really was not good this past season. And I've seen a lot of film studies going over. I know I'm kind of a nerd. I watch film studies sometimes, but I've seen a lot of them talking about, why didn't Tyreek do this good? And there's a lot of scheming involved. I know I talked a lot about scheming, but he was schemed so much as a decoy kind of this season to open up the field for other players. We saw guys like Jonnu Smith really thrive this season, especially towards that back half of the year. And a big part of that is because Tyreek Hill was still taking so much of the defensive scheming. For a guy who was under 1,000 yards to take up that much defensive scheming really is a testament to how good this guy can be. Obviously, it looks like he might not play on the Dolphins this season. It looks like maybe he will now. I don't know what's going on with that. I kind of hope he doesn't because I want to see what he can do with a better quarterback, a better situation maybe. But we've seen what this guy can do just 2 seasons ago. There were so many plays he was still open this season. There's so many yards left on the field, just like a lot of other players. And I think this is a guy that could easily come out and be a top 5 guy very easily if he just taps back into that. It just depends what Tyreek Hill we're getting this season. Maybe he does fall off. Maybe he's done. But from what I watched, it didn't feel like he fell off. Like when you think back to week 1, he looked really good in week 1.
He's cooking Ronald Darby though. Like he retired for a reason.
But I think that the whole Dolphin situation was just crappy this season. I mean, how many games did Tua not play? Like 6 or 7. You had Skylar Thompson playing. Dude, I don't know if you guys have watched Skylar Thompson this season.
He's horrible.
You could literally have a train coming full speed, horns blaring, and he would not be able to know. Like, he has no awareness. I've never seen a human being with less awareness to someone right behind them. Like, there's a defensive lineman who's 400 pounds sprinting full speed at him. He's like, he just has no idea the guy's there. So, when you're playing with guys like that, it's really hard to get production. And Tyreek Hill's kind of different in a way that he's not one of those receivers that's, like, going to get yards no matter the quarterback. You do need a quarterback that knows how to throw the ball at least a little bit to him in order to get him a lot of yards, in my opinion, because he's not like a jump ball kind of guy. But I think that when you get a quarterback that's even average to him, he is just so elite. So I kind of just split down the middle because I could see him being so much worse than this, and I could see him being so much better. So I was like, I'm just going to put it down the middle and say 11th best receiver right now.
Yeah, I mean, like, his play style being the speedy guy, that's obviously not going to age well, and maybe we just saw the beginning of the fall off. I do have him in the next tier, but he's just such a weird player to rank. Like, you could realistically say he's in the last tier, like 100%. 25 to 32, because that's kind of how he played last season, 900 yards, and he had, like, fine volume. It's not like
the hardest one to rank by far.
I liked him, and, like, there's, like, one other guy that I was like, oh, I don't know what to do with them. But Tua, I think he wasn't even good the year that, in my opinion, that Tyreek went off. So I feel like this past season, he wasn't even that much worse.
I mean, he was worse, and he had to play with, like, way worse quarterbacks, too. So
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like he should have been more productive if he's really that guy. Like, all the guys in this tier, I feel like I'd comfortably say are better than him.
Interesting. Who did you have at 12?
I had T. Higgins.
Yeah, okay. I was surprised to hear him. Obviously, I love T. Higgins. I think he's a really, really good receiver. I have him in my next tier, of course. But I didn't know how high I could put a number 2. Obviously, I think he could easily be number 1. But, you know, he's hurt a lot as well. That is a big problem with him. He's never healthy. But we've seen what he can do when he is. Like I was talking about that Broncos game earlier where he had 3 touchdowns. Obviously, a lot of that, you know, he's getting to play next to Jamar Chase, and he's getting to play with Joe Burrow. That is something to be talked about. You know, that you can't get much of a better situation than being the second receiver next to Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow throwing the football. So that is something, but at the same time, he does it at such an elite level. Like, if you actually go watch this guy, you know, he's getting open for his, like, he's a great route runner for his size, believe it or not. He's insanely good at the jump ball game. You know, he's just great at everything, in my opinion, or good at everything at least. Like, he doesn't really have weaknesses in his game, which is probably why you have him so high. I just think being a number 2 and, you know, never getting to see him being the focal point of an offense, I don't know how much higher I can put him.
I wish he was the number 1. Like, I think his production would definitely be better.
I think he'd be top 10 if he was a number 1, but it's hard for me to put him higher. Like, I think he's got top 10 talent. It's just hard to put him. I don't know where to put him because he was another hard one to rank, in my opinion, because I don't know where to put him. Only seeing him as a number 2.
Who'd you put at 12?
I put Terry McLaurin.
Oh, wow. I was about to say, would you really take your 12 over him?
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously, I don't know why Terry McLaurin's at 12. I think that's kind of crazy. But T. Higgins is, like, obviously, as you said, he's a complete number 1, like, prototypical receiver. He can go up and get it. He can, obviously, as you said, run routes. He's not even that bad after the catch. I'd say that's probably the weakest point of his game.
And he's not bad.
Yeah.
So.
And, like, I don't know. I just don't see, hopefully, people won't think this is crazy. Him and Adams, both right next to each other. Those are the only number 2 receivers I had in this tier, obviously, or higher. But
I don't even see Adams as number 2 though, because we've seen him be the number 1.
Yeah, but like I feel like I'd be shocked if T. Higgins went to a spot and we were like, wow, he's not a number 1 receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I don't know,
but it's hard to like just get. He's not going to be a number 1. Like. All of his prime, probably. So it's really hard to do.
Yeah, he just signed like $35 million a year or whatever.
Something crazy for a number 2. Who'd you have at 13? Was that Lab?
Drake London.
Drake London. Yeah, that's too high for me.
He was cooking at the end of the year.
He was because of Michael Penix.
Yeah, I did rewatch like a lot of the Michael Penix games, and he had like it had to have been like 12, 15, I don't know, something like that targets per game.
Oh yeah.
And he was just getting open at a really
They
good rate.
complement each other.
Yeah, I know,
perfectly.
and their chemistry is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that duo, like, I think Drake London, it wouldn't shock me if he had like 1,400 yards next year. I think he had like almost that much this year.
He's gonna have more. I was gonna predict this in the predicting one. I think London, like I have London really low right now compared to you, but next year London could easily, like especially statistically, be a top 5 receiver.
Yeah, but he was statistically a top 10 receiver last year.
Yeah, and
easily.
I think he could statistically be top 5. I think he could be easily, a top 7, top 6 receiver next season because I think he's getting a quarterback that plays so perfectly with him, really brings out all the best in him. But when I watched the Falcons, besides those 3 games, it was like, I'm not really seeing anything crazy from this guy.
Yeah, I
a
get
ton
that.
of busted coverages for him. One of the most I've ever seen. If you just go watch his highlights, even you'll see like 2/3 of his yards at least came from busted coverage.
Well, it's not that much.
It felt like.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's a weird receiver to me. Like he does have everything he needs to be really good, and I think he's next year is going to be quote unquote breakout. It's not really a breakout because he's already very good, but there's so much elite talent in the league right now that I think it's going to be a breakout because he's going to hop into the top 10. Because, like I said, just complements perfectly. The chemistry with his quarterback is amazing. So I can honestly understand the argument to put him this high.
Did you have him in this tier?
No, I have him my next tier.
Interesting.
But I understand the argument to put him this high. It's just I'm not going to put him that high when there's so much talent after 3 amazing games. 3 games really good to end of a season with a quarterback when you didn't really show me anything that deserves that the whole other part of the year.
I mean, he was super productive this year.
He was, but like I said, a lot of busted coverages. When I watch Falcons games, it doesn't feel like he's taking over or anything. I don't know. Again, I think he's going to be really good this season. I just think last season he's a little overrated on what happened.
Yeah, I mean, if you just looked at the stats, obviously, you'd think he was overrated.
Yeah, but
I mean, you know what I mean.
the people that just look at the stats think he's better than he
Yeah.
is because they look at the stats. So that's why I think he should be a little bit lower. But I totally understand the argument. Who'd you have at 14 then?
I had Lad McConkey.
Yeah, okay, so I had Lad at 14 as well. This is a guy that I don't know if this is a crazy thing to say. I think he'd be better than BTJ this season. Like,
That's pretty crazy.
he's so good. We saw in that playoff game. What do you have? Like 200 something yards?
I think it was 190.
Yeah,
or something like that.
he was so good.
I think he either broke Puka's record, like rookie postseason game record, or he was like just under it.
And I think he broke it
He did.
because
It was. I think it might have been over 200 then.
yeah, I felt like it was. We'll have to check after this, but he's just so good and so consistent, so good at everything. And this is a team that isn't even a pass-heavy offense. This is a run-heavy offense. Obviously he gets to play it with a great quarterback like Justin Herbert, but he being the only weapon on your offense is something to talk about. Like by the end of the year, everyone's focusing on this guy because who else are you gonna guard? Quentin Johnston.
He had 150 yards that last game.
I think Quentin Johnston might be better if you just leave him wide open. I mean, worse if you leave him wide open because he just drops the ball. So, but like Lad McConkey being the focal point of the defense to look at, and that he still was able to have that insane playoff game. 92-yard touchdown that was so insane on 3rd and 20, 3rd and 30, whatever it was. They kept him in the game for a little bit longer in that playoff game. Like he was clutch. He was consistent. He was amazing. Like this is just a guy rookie year. It's kind of looked at a little bit differently because we had such a historic class. But you don't see receivers going this being this high in year one. Obviously, we have 2 guys ahead of him still somehow, but Lad being 14 after just one season in a run-heavy offense is not talked about enough. That is just so incredibly insane.
Yeah, totally. I really liked him coming out of the draft. I think he was my wide receiver 4, maybe. That sounds about right. But when he was coming out of college, we were thinking he was limited almost because he's like this white route runner who's just not that dominant. But in his first season, we already saw he can be dynamic. He can he's very athletic. I know the testing didn't really show that, but
On the field, though.
yeah, definitely on the field. So much ability to get open, and I think I'd be shocked next year if he's not a top 12 guy.
Yeah, easily. I think he's going to be top 10. There's a lot of good receivers, but...
I don't know.
Who'd you have at 15?
Rashee Rice.
Yeah, so that was another one I was surprised. Pretty high. I think most people are going to think that's kind of wild.
He looked like one of the best receivers in the league the first 4 games of the season.
I agree with you. For some reason, this is one of the ones I actually paid attention to the injury though and the stuff. He played 3 games, 3 games, man. Not even 3 games.
Yeah,
It was
that's
2 and a
fair.
half.
But he was gonna get 1,400 yards, in my opinion.
on pace. But
He was on pace for a lot more than that.
I don't think it was a lot more. But, he just tore his ACL. It's a pretty rough injury, obviously. Obviously, I didn't pay as much attention to it with Chris Godwin as maybe I should have. Rashee Rice lowered a little bit because of that. But also, this is a guy that might not even play this season. This is a guy that might wait to play till next season. That's something that we talked about. We think about a guy like Deshaun Watson who played such an elite level, didn't even have an injury he was dealing with, but just didn't play for a whole year, and he came back and looked like a terrible, terrible quarterback. Just completely different player. There is some obviously quarterback. It's a little bit different, a lot harder of a position, but there is something to be said about that. If he doesn't play this season, that's 2 full years he hasn't played, and that is something that, or even if he's suspended, let's say suspended 10 weeks, 8 weeks, that is going to be a big deal when he comes back. It's going to be hard to adjust. This is a guy that I would predict to be much higher than this, but when he first comes into the game, I don't see him being anywhere near a top 15 receiver right away.
Yeah, well, I get the hesitance with the injury, but you're saying he might not play the whole season, but that's we have no idea. I don't think he's gonna get any suspension or anything.
No suspension.
No suspension.
He has to.
We thought last year he would.
Yeah, but he never went to court. He's going to court next week for facing 30 years in prison, and he might have to do a plea bargain. If he does a plea bargain, he's guaranteed to get a suspension. And if he doesn't, he's going to prison. So
I don't know. I don't feel like I've seen anybody talk about this.
Well, it's good. I don't know what to tell you. It's just what's happening.
I just have a feeling he's going to be playing in week 1.
There's just no way. If that happens, bro, the Chiefs bias is crazy. But he is very good. A very, very good receiver. Super underrated, too. I think play style-wise, or level that he was playing in the first 3 weeks of the season, easily fair to say he's the 15th best receiver in the NFL. Really was helping Patty Mahomes out there. He's kind of like a Michael Thomas, where he's just a slant god. But he's also elite after the catch. So good. Might be the best. He's up there with Chase. Is the best yards after the catch guys in the league. So very, very good. But my 15 was actually JSN. Figured you'd have him higher than me. He's just a really good receiver at everything. You play with a guy like Geno. That's not necessarily a good thing. Geno's just not that good. Obviously, he likes to throw a lot, which is one thing that probably helps your stats. But JSN was able to play just at a really high level the whole season. And I think he's only getting better. Obviously, this is a prediction, but I think he'll be even better this season than he was last year. But he's just a really good route runner, really good separator. He's really good at a lot of things, just really solid receiver. And that's what we're going to see a lot of in this range. Just players that can do everything. They're just not at the most elite level. I don't think he's elite at anything, which is why he's not any higher.
I mean, he's in my next tier, obviously. But I really like him. It's just he's another guy who's limited to being a slot.
Yeah.
He's Amon-Ra light, which, I mean, I guess maybe just slot guys more than me. But if my number 1, I don't really want him to be a slot guy necessarily.
I mean, I think he can be. I just don't think it's typical. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But moving on to the next tier, what do you got 16 through 20?
16, Chris Godwin. 17, JSN. 18, I have Tyreek Hill. 19, Mike Evans. And 20, I got Garrett Wilson.
Okay, so 16, I have Garrett Wilson.
Whoa, that's pretty high.
17, I have T. Higgins. 18, I have Drake London. 19, I have Jerry Jeudy.
Whoa.
And 20, I have Mike Evans.
That's surprising.
So let's start off with T. Higgins. I guess we've already talked about him. Obviously, the reason I put him this low is because he's a number 2. But going to Garrett Wilson, you have him at 20, you said? I'm at 16. I think this is a guy that's very talented. So good. Him and Rodgers just did not click.
At all.
If you watch the games, too, it was just weird. I don't even know how to describe it. It was you have to watch it to see it. Rodgers is a great quarterback, obviously. Good to great quarterback. But So it's not like one of those where like, oh, well, he's playing with Mac Jones. That's why yards were left on the field. It's just that their chemistry was horrible. They never were on the same page. There's so many plays that Rodgers was throwing it one way and Garrett Wilson was running the other. Garrett Wilson was wide open, but Rodgers thought he was running a different route or expected him to think one way. And that's why Adams was so good towards the end of the year. Because when Rodgers figured it out, he went to the guy he has amazing chemistry with. And that wasn't Garrett Wilson. But Garrett Wilson still has so many elite abilities. Maybe not elite, but like really good abilities. And, obviously he's not playing with a very good quarterback this season, but if he ever gets the opportunity to play with a really good quarterback, he could easily be much higher than this. But this is a guy, like, talent-wise, deserves to be here, in my opinion, because he can do everything really well. And even his rookie year, he showcased the ability on display. I think he played with Zach Wilson his rookie year, right? And he was still able to get over 1,000 yards. Like, he can be a number one very easily in this league. It's just about getting the opportunity. And last season, I just don't think he got the opportunity, so people kind of stopped talking about him and forgot about him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good receiver, but... Like, I just don't... Like, you have him over Drake London, like, someone else who I thought was Higgins. Like, I just, like, he's never had a season where I was like, wow, he's dominant, like, at all.
Yeah.
He's always like, this guy's really good.
Though. And Higgins.
Higgins
never had a dominant season.
He had a really, like, 2 years ago.
It wasn't dominant.
He had, like, 1,200 yards as a number 2.
Yeah, that's not dominant. If you're number 2, you're not dominant. Simple as that.
I mean... That's just not true.
It is.
You don't think T. Higgins has ever been dominant?
I don't. I don't think he's dominant.
Okay, well, I think
he could be on the right team.
I think he would be.
Okay,
like
but he's
100%.
not right now. And I think Garrett Wilson will be dominant on the right team.
I don't know. He's just like, every year it's like, he's almost the new Mike Evans, where it's like 1,000 yards. Imagine if he had a quarterback. He is so talented, and he's getting 1,000 yards every season. Then we get him a better quarterback, and it's like, oh, I'll just have the same season I've been having every year.
I think he's got way better ability than Mike Evans, though.
Whoa.
Mike Evans was just right now. I'm talking about right now.
Oh.
Mike Evans is just this guy that just can catch the ball like sometimes and just like run straight, really. But Garrett Wilson is so much more than that.
Yeah, but I just like everybody's always saying, what if he had a quarterback and then he gets one?
He doesn't. He
had Rodgers.
Yeah, but Rodgers is the way he is. He likes his guys, no one else.
This is not true, though. Like, the Packers would get a good... Like, I'm trying to think. Who was the best receiver we brought? We just didn't bring in any guys.
Because he didn't want them.
That's probably not true.
It is. It actually is true. Think about it. When he goes to the Jets, he brings Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard over. Because he likes his guys and his guys only.
No, he just likes his guys a lot.
And his guys only.
Do you think Lazard's going to the Steelers?
Probably.
I hope so.
If you watched, like, the last 3 games of the season when Adams was really dominant, he wasn't even looking other people's way. Like, he was only looking at Adams.
It's because Adams is that good.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's because he only likes his guys. Like, you don't want to say it because you're a Packers fan and are obsessed with Rodgers for some reason, but, like, that he is a diva, and that's just kind of how he is. He's a phenomenal quarterback, but that is the way he is.
Yeah, but he wanted to go to Garrett Wilson. Early in the season, like, I know at the end of the season he was like, I'm just done with you. But early in the season, he wanted Garrett Wilson to be that guy, it felt like. Garrett Wilson got a bunch of targets at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, but also,
never
like, at the beginning
out.
of the season, Rodgers was bad. Like, Rodgers was actually bad at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I know, but like...
So it's hard for you to play with a bad quarterback. And then when he was good, he stopped throwing Garrett Wilson the ball. So it's like...
I just feel like a lot of the rankings of Wilson is like, he's done all this without a quarterback. What could he do with a quarterback?
That's because that's true.
Yeah, but like, I'd rather get a guy like Chris Godwin, JSN, those are my guys. Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans, those are the guys that are all above him. Like, I feel like all of those guys...
I'd easily take him over Mike Evans right now.
People are not going to like that.
People are obsessed with Mike Evans. He's overrated. He
Yeah.
had barely 1,000 yards this season because they threw an extra play in to risk their playoffs.
I was so mad about that.
So, who cares about that? Like, he had 1,007 yards, 1,004 yards. Like, it wasn't
Something
good.
like that, yeah.
Like, I really don't care about Mike Evans right now. He's a number, like, really low tier number 1 or number 2.
Whoa, a number 2?
Like a really high tier number 2. I mean, he is a number 2 right now.
Okay. I mean, most people disagree with that.
He actually is, though. He is a number 2 to Chris Godwin. Do you disagree with that?
No, but like, you're saying he's, like, when I'm saying a guy's a number 2, I mean, they're like an actual number 2 caliber. Like, T. Higgins is not a number 2 caliber.
He's obviously better than number 2 caliber, but he's like a back half of the league number 1 if he was on a number 1 in most situations.
Well, Mike Evans, you underrate Mike Evans. Like,
He's literally
you underrate his other abilities. Like,
right
obviously,
now, he's just Cortland Sutton.
no, he's way better separator. He always gets that little bit of separation. I don't know what he does. He does.
He does not have separation.
Yes, he does.
He does not have separation.
He can get
just
separation.
Is good at boxing out, just like AJ Brown. It's the same thing.
AJ Brown, you had it like 6.
It's the same thing as Sutton. Yeah, but he's way better at it. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't like Evans at all.
I know. Did you have?
But you don't
set him
either.
yet?
So yeah, he's 20.
So I had one spot above you.
Yeah, so I don't know why you're talking like I. But the one we haven't talked about, Jerry Jeudy.
That's crazy.
This is a guy that showed elite ability in some points of the season. Obviously, a lot of his yards came from Levi Wallace being the worst corner in NFL history. But he is a really underrated player, in my opinion. As a guy who has a vendetta against Jerry Jeudy, I still have to give him some respect because he is a really good player. Another guy that's playing with garbage quarterbacks this season. I mean, he was playing with DTR at the end of the year, who should not have ever been in the NFL. So
he still is in the NFL,
which is insane. But I really want Dylan Gabriel to play with him this season. That'd be good.
Dylan Gabriel's my favorite.
But he's
player.
really good at getting open. He's good after the catch. He's really underrated after the catch. Jerry Jeudy's really, really good at after the catch. Even with the Broncos, that's what he was good at. Obviously, he's not like an X type of receiver, but he can do almost anything else. Just needs to develop a little bit more, I'd say. He's gotten better at not dropping the ball as much, but there's still a little bit of development to be made. And, he's kind of a hothead in a way and just kind of like a crazy guy, but he is a very talented wide receiver and very underrated.
I'm shocked you have him this high.
I
think this is higher than 90% of other people, and you hate him.
Yeah, I was surprised too, but he is a very good receiver.
Yeah, but if you just take that, he had 250 yards in that Broncos game. You take that away, and he was barely over 1,000 yards.
1150 still or something.
He did not have that many yards.
He did.
He did not.
He was top 5 in yards, I think.
You're saying he had 1,400 yards.
I think he was close to that.
No, he was not.
He was very good last season. And he was playing with nobody. Bums. He's playing absolute bums, bro. What do you have? Maybe 1,300? 1,350?
I was thinking 1,280. Oh, nope, not even that. 1,220.
Really? It's a lot
so
less
without
than I
that
thought.
game, he doesn't get to 1,000. That's what I'm saying. It just felt like he turned it on. He's like, "Who I'm playing against the Broncos," and the Broncos are like, "Who? Yeah, you can have a good game against us."
But even after that game, he was so much better that game and on. The whole
Yeah.
rest of the season. So, talking about that, if he plays at that level a whole season, he could have 1,400 yards. He was really, really, really good towards the end of the end of the year. And
Yeah.
he played with nobody. Nobody. And they don't have a run game.
That's disrespectful to Jerome Ford.
They just, he had nothing going for him. He was still able to produce. So, in my opinion, an underrated wide receiver.
Oh, I did not think that was what I was going to hear from you. Underrated Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I just get mad when I have to watch him because he was on our team. Why couldn't he be this good for us? As soon as he left, he was good. So that's frustrating.
Maybe it's because you had Russell Wilson, your favorite quarterback.
I don't think that's the reason. He was there with Teddy Bridgewater.
You liked him too.
And
you love Teddy Bridgewater.
And Drew Lock and some other guys. So let's move on to the next tier though. 21 through 25.
At 21, I have Chris Olave. 22,
Whoa.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I wonder where you're gonna have him. 22, I have DJ Moore. 23, Devontae Smith. 24, DK Metcalf, and 25, Brandon Ayuk.
Whoa!
I don't think
Multiple
Ayuk's on
guys
your
in
list.
that tier
I don't know
that
if
I don't have
Olave's
my
on your list.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a chance that only one of these guys is on your list.
I don't have Olave or Ayuk on my list. I'll tell you that right now.
have Olave
Which
on
we'll
your
talk about them
list.
in a sec.
Oh.
21, I have DJ Moore. 22, I have Rashee Rice. 23, I have Cortland Sutton. 24,
Whoa.
I have Jacoby Myers.
Wait, what?
And 20, you don't have Jacoby Myers?
No, I'm just very confused what your last year is going to look like.
And 25, I have Josh Downs.
Whoa, you have him above me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love Josh
We haven't
Downs.
talked about him yet. Okay, let's talk about this tier. This is definitely the most different. I
What
don't think
the
we have a
heck?
single one that's even similar.
We have DJ Moore. I have him at 22 and you have 21.
Okay, let's talk about him first then. So DJ Moore is a very good receiver. Showcased that with Justin Fields the year before, year before last. What do you have? 1,200 yards.
1350.
Very good season. With not a great quarterback by any means. Caleb Williams really kind of hindered him in a lot of ways. And now he's on a really crowded offense. I don't think he's ever going to have that same production of 1350. But that doesn't mean he's not a really good receiver. He is. There's just so much, like we've talked about, there's just so much receiver talent right now. I didn't feel like putting him any higher would be fair to these other guys that are most of them, focal points of their offense.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be like where everybody has DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He had 900 yards last season.
Just under 1,000.
Him and Caleb have no chemistry. I don't think Caleb likes him at all. And Caleb also just didn't play well.
Good.
Yeah, so it really hurt DJ Moore this year. So no one's talking about him. But last year, I feel like a lot of people had him top 12, which I thought was a bit high. But I don't know. He looked good when he got involved. He just never got involved.
Yeah. Because, a lot of the offense is also very, very crowded, though. So it's hard to get.
It's even more crowded now.
Yeah, so I just don't see him ever producing on the stat sheet necessarily that much. Rashee Rice, we've already talked about why I have him lower. So let's talk about your number 21. I forget.
Chris Olave. You don't have him on your list?
So I don't have him on my list because he was good. He was good in the beginning of the year. Nothing crazy.
He led their receiving room in yards.
Wow. He was good in the beginning of the year. He was a good receiver. I predicted him to be better than Drake London this year, right?
Bad prediction.
But I think he had 2 more concussions this season. Is that right?
At least.
And ended up putting him out for the year. There's no telling this guy's going to be the same. He seems very, very injury prone. He's had a ton of concussions already. And if he's on the field, yes, he's a good receiver. He'd probably be even a tier below this, even if he was on the field for me. But because of how much I'm worried about the injury stuff, I just didn't feel like it was fair with how much receiver talent is. I wanted to feel other guys that I think I'm more confident in. I'm scared. Obviously, we want to wish the best on Chris Olave, but I genuinely think there's a fear that Chris Olave, is never a number one because he just doesn't play enough, or his career ends in just a couple of seasons, or this season. It's not out of the picture by any means, and so I can't put a guy at 21 that's like that.
I guess that's fair. I kind of disregarded that as kind of where he would be otherwise. I wasn't really thinking about concussions, but I think it can't be that bad. He got to put on the Guardian cap. He can figure it out. I just love Chris Olave. He's such a good player. He gets 1,100 yards 2 years in a row. And I think in his rookie year, he had 1,000. He's been productive every year until last year where he got hurt a bunch. I think he only missed 2 other games the other 2 years. So he's always been a good player, and they've had Derek Carr. Derek Carr, Taysom Hill, whoever else they want to throw out there.
Derek Carr throws the ball a lot, though, down the field.
No.
I know you think he checks on the ball all the time, but he's one of the
He used to on the Raiders, not on the Saints. On the Saints,
he throws it deep a lot. He doesn't throw it intermediate. He throws it deep a lot.
I feel like he's actually not a bad deep ball thrower, but that's Shaheed and stuff.
Yeah.
Chris Olave's game's medium, short. I mean, he's everything, but in my opinion, his best range is intermediate.
Yeah,
to deep.
if he plays. Never again.
No, I guess now thinking about that, it makes sense why you have him lower.
I didn't have him on the list.
Yeah, why you wouldn't have him on the list. But you have to admit, he's going to be better than players in this tier if he was healthy.
In my tier, I don't think he'd be better than Rashee Rice. I don't think if they're both healthy, I don't think he's better than Rashee
he's
Rice.
better than Jerry Jeudy.
I mean, I don't think so. I don't know. Obviously, we have to see, but you act like Derek Carr's a terrible situation. Jerry Jeudy would be foaming at the mouth to have Derek Carr, man. DTR's throwing him the ball.
Those for 2 weeks.
Okay, Jameis Winston's throwing him.
Jameis Winston helps Jerry Jeudy. He does not care. He just throws the ball.
That doesn't help him.
That helps production. That doesn't help winning at all.
It's just not in a good situation. It's insane to say that he's Derek Carr, but you're just ignoring what Jerry Jeudy has.
I think Derek Carr's one of the worst quarterbacks to compliment Olave.
Okay, I think Jerry Judy's one. I think DTR is one of the worst quarterbacks. Period.
I think he's the worst quarterback. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever watched a quarterback worse than DTR.
Or Jameis Winston. Or Deshaun Watson before he got hurt. These guys are terrible. Way worse than Derek Carr.
But Jameis at least will just throw the ball to his best players.
Okay.
Yeah, that helped Jerry Judy's production.
Okay, I don't care about the production as much as the actual play.
Yeah, well, that's everybody's argument for Jerry Jeudy is look how productive he was.
Okay,
Did you give Jerry Jeudy above Drake London?
No.
Okay, good. That would be really bad. Because they're kind of similar in that way, but one of them's a lot worse.
One of them's better.
Did you talk about Devontae Smith in this tier?
No.
Really?
He's in your tier?
Yeah.
I have him Yeah, further down.
He's in your top 32, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
he's on the list.
Like, I know he's a number 2. I clearly like number 2s a lot more than you, is what I'm realizing.
Well,
but
you don't understand the difference between a number 2 and a number 1. It sounds like there is a big difference between being the focal point of your offense and
again,
getting to go against second corner.
I don't know if Devontae Smith will ever be a number 1.
He
I don't
won't.
want him to be, but
Yeah.
I think he's perfect for being a number 2.
He's like the number 2. Like if you think about number 2s, he is what you want your number 2 to be.
Yeah,
But also,
but he's a phenomenal number 2, and I'd rather
Yeah.
have him be a number 2 than anyone below my
tell
list
you-
be a number 1.
I'll tell you right now, he's 30 for me because he is a number 2.
That's crazy.
You just said you want him to be a number 2 for his whole career.
No, but I'd
That's
rather have
true.
him on my team as a number 2 than these guys as a number 1.
Right, but that's not how it works. You're taking.
But, like,
if you
I'm-
had to choose either of these guys for a base team, being the best receiver on your team. You don't want him to be.
But if he was on my team, I'd upgrade my number 1 receiver position, and I'd like
if you
that
take
better.
these other guys, then you can still upgrade at the same position, but they're better guys. They're better.
You just don't find number 2s like Devontae Smith.
I think that's as high as I could put a number 2. Like he's very good.
I mean, we had them. You had T. Higgins at like 13.
Like no, because T. Higgins could be a 1 very easily, but like I'm saying, this is a guy that is a number 2 for his whole career. He will be.
He could be a number 1.
He's just not.
This wouldn't be a good offense.
He's not meant to be a number 1. So I don't know. I think that he is the prototypical number 2 that you'd want, but like that's not what you want. You want a number 1.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want these guys to be number 1 that are lower.
I mean, yeah, you want to have him as your number 2, obviously, but like that's best case scenario. These are still better receivers than Devontae Smith because you're agreeing that they're number 1 caliber, just low tier, and you're agreeing that Devontae Smith's not.
No, but like Devontae Smith, the reason why he's not a number 1 caliber is because of his play style. His
Okay.
play style is perfect for number 2.
Yeah, and all you care about is the play style. So I don't know why you want him so high because you have guys that have play styles that you don't like, and you have him like way lower.
Well, I'd rather have him than DK, who's the next spot below, even if that just means that I have to get a better number 1. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know what you mean.
I have DK behind him, so
Oh my gosh.
I mean I like, but I think next season DK will be better. This season though, DK was not good. Which I guess he was on yours right here, right?
Mhm.
So let's talk about him for a second. I think with Geno, he should have been fine. Like he should have been fine. Like Geno pushes the ball a lot, like too much. So he should have been good production wise. Last season it was his worst season.
Yeah.
He seemed to regress in a lot of categories. JSN really took over as the number 1, alpha wide receiver. And that's fine. It's fine for him to have a down year. But I couldn't put him very high at all because there's so many good receivers. And next season, I think he's going to go back to being a good, really good receiver with Aaron Rodgers. But last season, like, if we're talking about last season, they're taking all these guys over him easily.
I'm taking over Tyreek last season.
No,
I'm
I'm not.
put him way above.
I'm not. Tyreek was better last season. In my
The
opinion.
reason we have Tyreek high is not because he was bad last year. It's because we think he'll bounce back and he's still a good player. Which
Yeah,
is the same
but
with
I don't,
DK.
I don't think Tyreek was necessarily bad this year. I think DK was bad in a lot of situations, like a lot of them, and he was losing production going up against worse corners. Like you don't value the ability to go up against number 2 corners. Like the difference between going up against a Patrick Surtain
The
and
number
Riley
2 was
Moss-
never on DK.
Yes, he was.
No, they put the number 1 on DK.
That's
so
just not true.
That is true.
No, a lot of the time they didn't.
Most of the time they put it on DK.
No,
I watched a lot of Seahawks games. I watched a lot of JSN. JSN was
Maybe
in the
you
slot.
guys did.
The slot. So the number 1 outside corner was always on DK because they don't have another outside receiver.
Right, but there was also a lot of times that, if JSN's lining up further out or he's one of the only receivers in, or even if the guy motions in and playing zone or something, like there was a lot of times DK was going up against better looks than he's gotten and he just wasn't able to do anything with it. Like he just looked like he was stale, like kind of just like not in his element, like he wasn't really giving it at all last season. And I think that he's got so much potential. Obviously, he's one of the best athletes we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But last season, he really, really underwhelmed me. But who was your that was your 23?
That was my 24.
Who was 23?
23 was Devontae Smith.
22 was, we talked about 22?
Yeah, DJ Moore.
So just 25 now?
Yeah,
Who was 25?
Ayuk.
Oh, yeah, so I don't have him on my
He was
list.
phenomenal 2 years ago.
You heard yourself, right?
Yeah, but I think he'll bounce back. I think he was hurt, right?
He was hurt.
He was hurt.
And then he got paid.
And he
then-
missed training camp because
he
he
was
wanted to
bad.
get paid. So then he came in. He didn't practice very much.
He was bad and then got hurt.
Yeah, so I think he'll bounce back. I think he'll be a
So
great player.
you
I
can't
think he'll be far above this mark.
This is not a prediction.
It's not a prediction. It's a bounce back.
Yeah.
We've predicted bounce backs.
What I'm trying to say
Tyreek
is
was terrible last
he doesn't
year.
deserve to be on the list if he was You want to talk about terrible? Brandon Ayuk was awful before he got hurt. Like, terrible. Like, nowhere near the realm of this list if we're just talking about how he played in those games.
Yeah, but
Obviously,
we're not
that's
ranking it off of last year. We're ranking it off of how they are.
I'm telling you, but obviously he was near my list. He was just off of it.
It was off your list?
I already told you that like 6 times.
This is just like crazy.
I think that obviously, if we're ranking it off that, he's nowhere near this. But you also have to realize that at that point he hadn't gone to training camp, he hadn't played in forever.
Yeah, that's why he played bad.
Because he had got hurt the year before. But now he's going through a whole other huge injury gap. So this is the thing I was talking about with Rashee Rice, where if you don't play for a long time, that limits you, man. And this is a guy that could easily bounce back by the end of the year. He is not going to start as a top 32 receiver. He will not. There's just zero way possible because he will be so unbelievably rusty. And he's got so much potential. This is a guy that was so phenomenal 2 seasons ago, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been bad for the last season and a half.
He played like
4 games in that season and a half.
That's not a season and a half. That's 4 games.
Right, but that was a season and a half.
No, it wasn't. It was 1 season.
And he got hurt twice in that.
So?
He got hurt twice in that and looked bad in the games he played. You hate Talanoa Hufanga for the same reason.
No, but Hufanga came back and played bad and got hurt multiple times. He played well like 3 seasons ago. This is completely different. It wasn't 1 off year.
2 seasons ago, and then playing bad in between your 2 injuries is so much worse. Or so much better, sorry.
Yeah, it is.
That makes no sense.
No, because we haven't seen elite play from Hufanga for 2 full seasons.
Okay, we haven't seen elite play from Ayuk in a season and a half.
In 1 season.
No, he got hurt like halfway through that season, I thought.
No, he didn't.
It was
It was
very
1
end of the
season.
year?
Last year was his only bad year.
Okay, and so he was very bad. And in between his injuries, and just because Hufanga looked worse than he looked in between his injuries, you hold that against him. You don't hold it against Ayuk. It makes no sense.
It's because Hufanga hasn't been good for 3 years. It's completely different.
It's the same thing.
It's 1 year versus 3.
Hufanga hasn't been good for 2. He was an All-Pro 3 seasons ago.
Okay, 2. 2 full seasons.
Okay, and he was hurt both of those seasons.
Okay,
and that's the
Ayuk
excuse
was
you're
hurt
giving
this
Ayuk.
season.
That's the excuse you're giving Ayuk.
You give Hufanga this excuse all the
No,
time.
I don't give Hufanga.
You said it was a good signing.
It was because he could.
What?
Because we don't need elite safety play, but he could easily be an elite safety. Like he's still better. Being bad Hufanga is better than PJ Locke.
So spending $15 million and minorly upgrading PJ Locke is a good move.
Yeah, because we have the money to spend, and it's a great contract for us. It's like if you look at the cap numbers, it's such a good contract for us. So I don't know why you hate it so much. My point is what I'm trying to say is you're not holding them to the same standard of like if this guy's hurt and he was bad in between his injuries, he sucks. But
It's
if
a
this guy's
full
not, 'cause I
year
like
difference.
him.
This is what it is. If Ayuk comes back, gets hurt, sucks the whole time, comes back, gets hurt this year, and then next year I'm gonna be like, yeah, Ayuk's trash.
No, he's just injury prone. There's a difference.
No, if he plays badly in between all those, and he's just always getting hurt, always playing bad when he comes back.
Yeah, because he's injury prone. He's clearly not healthy all the way, and so that's what happened. Like that's what I think is going to happen at least at the beginning of the year. He's not going to be himself, and so you can predict him to be like he'll be on my prediction list, but he's not going to start week 1 and be a good receiver. He just won't.
He could.
There's just no way. I just do not see it happening.
Interesting. I feel like 25 is pretty low for Ayuk.
I never thought Ayuk would be the one we disagreed on the most the whole day.
It doesn't make any sense. Have we said everybody in your top 25?
No, so it's Cortland Sutton. We should probably talk about it a little bit.
That's crazy.
So I'm not even a Sutton lover,
I mean...
like at all.
You put him at this high.
Like, most Broncos fans think he should be in top 10 conversations. I'm not even exaggerating. You know how many Broncos, like, forums there are? It's like, Cortland Sutton's so underrated. Top 10 receiver this season. He's not. He's not a top 10 receiver. Not even close. But to not have him in the top 25, I think it's just disrespectful.
How is that disrespectful?
Do you
He's
have
the
him in
most
your next
mid
tier?
receiver of all time.
Do you have him in your next tier?
You'll see.
Do you have him in your next tier?
You'll see.
Do you have him? That's a
You'll
no.
see.
That's a no. So that means you're disrespecting him very, very much. He's definitely a number 1, just a low tier number 1. 1,100 yards. You know, this is a guy that was top 10 in yards this season. That is something to account for. He was the only weapon on the offense, the only one. There's nobody else. You could argue Mims, but he was really coming out to his own towards the end of the season. But for the whole, it was like week 4 to week 10 or something. He was averaging like 90 yards a game, which is really good. And much better than any Packers receivers. I hope I don't see a Packers receiver on this list. And just like he's elite at jump balls. Like that is just how it is. He's got an elite trait in jump balls. Obviously, his separation is not just below average; it's bad. He's just bad at separating, but he showcased the ability to still make it work.
Well, you had Mike Evans above him, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yeah, I think that they're very similar players right now, though, at this point in their career. But the problem with Sutton is the consistency. If he didn't drop as much as he did, like, people don't really talk about his drops, but so many easy passes. Like, genuinely, if he didn't have drops this season, obviously, to take away all drops is ridiculous, but just taking away, like, 90% of his drops or something, which was a ton, he'd have over, like, it might have 1,300 yards. I'm not even being dramatic.
Okay, then don't drop the ball.
That's what I'm trying to say, bro. Like, that is his biggest problem that no one talks about. That is why I've always kind of been a little bit more hesitant on him than most Broncos fans, is because this guy is really underrated. He's a great player. But, you know, playoff game, for example, he dropped too many passes. Colts game, he dropped too many passes. Like, Chiefs game, he dropped too many passes. Like, he has so many games that it's just like he's off today. He can't catch the ball. And it's the weirdest thing because it'll hit him right in the chest and he'll drop. And then he'll one-hand it over two other guys while they're committing pass interference. And it makes absolutely no sense. But he's still able to do that. And it's rare to get down here and still find people with an elite trait. And he has that. And so you can't put a guy with an elite trait not on your list. I think that's actually insane.
I think you're going to have people on my next list who have an elite trait not on your list.
What? Like who?
Do you have George Pickens in your next tier?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think he has an elite trait.
Jump balls that are not on the sideline?
You have to jump balls in the middle of the field. That is like cherry picking. Like, yeah, he's a great like he's spectacular catch in Madden, probably really high, but like that only gets you so far.
Do you have Shakir on there
Yeah.
in your top 32?
Mm-hmm. I don't think he's elite at anything.
He's elite after the catch.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's top 3 in the league.
This is funny.
I don't think he's top 3. Do you think he's top 3?
Top 5 for sure.
Okay, that's
an elite trait.
Is top 3.
No, Cortland Sutton's not close to top 3.
In jump
Terry
balls.
McLaurin, AJ Brown, unarguably.
Cortland Sutton.
Mike Evans is better.
It's close. It's very close.
T. Higgins is better.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
That's insane.
He is
That's
better.
insane to say. That's insane. T. Higgins is not like a jump ball guy.
Yes, he is.
Like, he's very good at it, but that's not his like that is Sutton's thing.
Yeah, and he's worse at it.
That is what Sutton's great at. Think about when he had Russ on his team.
Nico Collins is better.
Russ had like 4 of the top. That's just not true.
Yes, it is.
He's a deep threat.
He's a deep threat. He can go up and get it, and he's better at
He can
it.
go up and get it. He's not better at it. He's just not.
I think I'd rather throw up a 50-50 ball to Justin Jefferson.
Sutton does it all. No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would. I'd rather throw a 50-50 ball up to Puka Nacua, especially if it's on the
Sutton
sideline.
does it all the time. Like, that's what he does all the time. These guys can do it, but they don't do it more than like 3 times a season, maybe.
3 times? What are we talking about?
Like a deep 50-50 ball? A red zone 50-50
all the time.
ball?
All the
He's
time
better
for
in the red zone
anybody, I
than
said.
every player you just named. Except
What?
AJ Brown. He is.
What are you talking
He's
about?
a red zone threat, dude.
Oh my gosh.
He
the
is.
Glaze is crazy.
No.
I'm not a Cortland Sutton Glazer.
I'm not.
Cortland Sutton
I think he has
is the best
so many
receiver
weaknesses.
of all
no,
time.
I think he has so many weaknesses in his game, but you're underrating the traits that he is amazing at. Because he is amazing at like 2 things, but the other things he struggles with things. He struggles with drops. He struggles with getting open. He cannot get open to save his life. But he's so
Those are like 2 of the most important
right.
traits.
But that's
so
what I'm saying.
that's why he's
if
not.
you have 1,100 yards without being able to get open, you're clearly good at catching the ball contested.
Or you just get a lot of volume.
He doesn't. He does not get that much volume. You want to look up his targets?
Yeah.
I bet it's like way less than these other guys you just named. Like, that's actually crazy. To say that Justin Jefferson's the better contested catch receiver. I mean, I'm sure most people would think that because they like glaze Justin Jefferson. But you're underrating Cortland Sutton so unbelievably hard right now.
I did not realize you were obsessed with him.
I'm not.
You are.
This is a guy that people think is top 10, McKay.
He had 135 targets.
That is not that many for number 1.
He did not get... What's that? That's a terrible completion percentage, isn't that?
How many catches he had?
80 out of 135? Isn't that really bad?
I don't know.
That sounds pretty bad.
I don't know. It's insane to say he's not even number 1. Like, he's a number 1. And if you don't think he's number 1, then Bo Nix should be way higher on your list. Because that means he's playing with nobody.
I mean, Cortland Sutton has Sean Payton, offensive mastermind.
So wait, let me get this straight. Bo Nix is playing with...
Sean Payton, offensive mastermind.
Wait, can I finish my sentence?
No.
Bo Nix is playing with a receiver who's not even a number 1. He's playing with a run game that is historically terrible. Maybe the worst of all time.
He's playing with a offensive line
And
that is
he's playing
historically phenomenal. Number 1 in... You said number 1 in pass and run?
Yeah, that's not historic.
Being number 1 in both?
I'm sure that's been done before. That's not
Yeah.
historic. But he has a great offensive line. Who cares if you have Cortland Sutton, who you think is terrible, and you have Jaleel McLaughlin? Jaleel McLaughlin's
Actually,
longest run.
Javonte got more carries.
Our longest run of the season was 21 yards, McKay.
Actually, it was like 30-something.
From Bo, from him, from the quarterback that you're underrating. I don't understand. You can't have it both ways. Either Sutton is a number one and Nix is where you have him, or Nix is higher. Because you're saying Nix has a horrible situation.
I said Nix was a number one quarterback.
Obviously,
I had
he
him like
starts.
12 or like 13 or 14 or something like that.
But for a guy that's putting up those stats with with no receivers, no running back,
I wouldn't say no receivers.
that's what you're arguing.
I'm arguing that Sutton is overrated by you.
If you say Jaden Reed this next year, I'm actually gonna lose it. Like,
Okay, are we ready for my next year yet?
No, because I have Jacoby Myers. We need to talk about.
I'm surprised you have him higher than me.
He's super underrated. I love
Yeah,
Jacoby
totally.
Myers. He plays well, like in every scenario. It feels like, and he played with Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew last year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a guy I feel like would really thrive from having an accurate quarterback. His play style and stuff. So, obviously that's not Geno. So I don't know how well he's gonna do with Geno, but I think. I think about him with like Goff. I think he would really, really thrive with Goff. I think this is a guy that just is not talked about probably because he's on the Raiders. But this is a really good freaking receiver, and I had him one spot behind Sutton. I think they're very close.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously my next tier. I really like him. No one talks about him. He's kind of boring, honestly.
Yeah.
But he also did that all as the second option on the offense. Brock Bowers had so many targets, and Jacoby Myers, I think, got 1,000 yards last season.
Yeah, something like that.
If not that close. And I feel like just no one talks about him.
Yeah, for sure. And the last one to talk about in this tier is Josh Downs. I'm surprised you don't have him higher.
He's next, so.
He's next.
Yeah.
Like 26?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that makes sense, I guess. He's really good for having Anthony Richardson throwing him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, not talked about enough. Another guy that I think if he got the opportunity, he could be a lot better. But we haven't seen him get that opportunity quite yet. You know, Anthony Richardson is the last quarterback that fits his play style.
Literally,
Like, it could not be further apart.
besides like DTR. Those are probably the two bottom
DTR's
ones.
play style doesn't fit him. He just is terrible.
What's both?
I don't know. Okay, well, give us your last one. We're just going to go all the way through to 32.
Okay. At number 26, I have Josh Downs. 27, I have Jerry Jeudy. 28, I have Marvin Harrison Jr. 29, I have Travis Hunter. 30, I have Jacoby Myers. 31, I have George Pickens. And 32, I have Jameson Williams.
Interesting. So number 26, I have Darnell Mooney. Number 27, I have George Pickens. Number 28, I have Adam Thielen.
Whoa!
Number 29, I have Khalil Shakir. Number 30, I have Devontae Smith. What?
Khalil Shakir isn't in my top 32.
He's not?
You're a Khalil Shakir Glazer.
He's not in your top 32.
No.
That's insane. Number 31 is Marvin Harrison Jr. And number 32 is Jameson Williams.
Do you have your honorable mentions?
I can think of them off the top of my head. I know
Because I'm wondering who how did you fit Shakir into this?
I didn't
I
put
tried.
Travis Hunter on the list.
Yeah, that's fair, but like
I didn't put Travis Hunter, Chris Olave, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf. All were not on my
that's
list.
insane.
And Zay Flowers. I don't know if you had him, but he was also off my list.
He's on my honorable mentions.
Those are the 5 that were just off my list.
Interesting.
Who are your honorable mentions?
Cortland Sutton was 33. 34, Khalil Shakir. 35, Zay Flowers. 36, Matthew Golden. And there was one more that I was like just barely considering, but I didn't put.
So
it on.
if you had cared about Chris Olave and Brandon Ayuk's injuries like I did, not talking about like
Sutton and Shakir would have made it.
right, Shakir would have made it is what I'm trying to say. So he would have been in your top 32 as well, which is the biggest.
Who's the Khalil
difference between
Shakir Glazer now?
us. Well, and you took Travis Hunter in there, which is kind of crazy.
No, I just like I want to put the rookies on here if I think they're that level of prospect.
I thought he was really good, and I had him up there as one of the players I was considering as well. But just because he's not just because he's a rookie, but also because like this is a guy that's not going to be like a number one. He's not going to be a number one because he's playing next to Brian Thomas, but he's also just like playing both sides of the ball. Like he's not going to be a.
I think that's so annoying.
Yeah, but he's also not going to be a full-time receiver, so I can't put him on the top 32 receiver list.
No, that makes sense.
But like I said, there's just like 4 or 5 guys that like we disagree with because of injuries, or like one of us was more cautious, and I think that's the biggest difference between the guys we left off the list. But talking about Darnell Mooney, I think I had him a couple spots higher than you.
I don't have him on my honorable
Oh,
mentions.
I didn't hear you say him. I thought I heard you say him earlier in the list.
No.
He was good last season.
Yeah.
Productive. Obviously number 2. Maybe should have him a little bit lower looking at it, but still a good receiver.
No, but like 26 is like a number one, like a low end number one.
Very, very low end number 1.
I do not think Darnell Mooney could ever be number one. They tried it on the Bears. He was garbage. There's a reason why I hated him until he went on the Falcons. He cannot be a 1.
He's a very high end number 2 though, and you think that you love high end number 2s apparently.
Wait, did you have him above Devontae Smith?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, he was better than Smith last season.
What?
I think Smith could be better.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Smith could easily be better, but he wasn't last season. I don't know.
Insane.
I'm like, obviously, like, this is based almost completely off of last season. This isn't talking about what's going to happen next year. And Darnell Mooney was really, really good last season. Really, really productive as number 2 in a crowded offense still.
I look at the Falcons receivers, like all their stats, and it's like everybody feels like they had better stats than when you watch the games. Like London, he had like 1,400 yards. It does not feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
Darnell Mooney had over 1,000. I don't remember exactly what he ended with. He did not finish the season strong at all.
And he still had over 1,000.
Yeah, but like I don't know how he got there. Ray McLeod got to like 600 yards.
I mean, it's definitely fair to argue he should be lower, but I feel like he should at least be on the list because he was really productive. 27 was Pickens. I think you were around there too.
I had 31.
Oh, so lower, but he's really good too. He's just he's just an idiot.
He should be better than he is.
Way better.
He should
so
be
talented.
Top 15 easily.
Yeah, he's so talented. Maybe he'll be better on the Cowboys. Being the second option might help too.
I don't know if that's going to help his production.
We'll see. But I don't know. He's a really weird player because like all the clips of him being like, oh, he's mashing Madden buttons and he's just like jumping around the field for no reason, or he's jumping out of bounds instead of getting his feet in, like he's trying to get out of bounds. Like he's such a weird player, but he's so unbelievably talented that he's got to be on the list. Like so unbelievably talented.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he's not better than he is. I'm confused. Like, if he goes to Dallas and he's a number 2 and he's not getting the volume he wants, is he really going to cry about that in Dallas? That's going to be such a big story. Like,
yeah, it's going to be
make a big deal about it. Like, I don't know. He's just a receiver who, if he's on my team, I don't feel like he's going to help my team win, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like he's a guy that's going to go to a bad team eventually and produce phenomenally, get paid, go to a good team, and then just not be good. I don't know. That's just what I get from him.
He's also not who you want in the locker room.
Yeah, and he doesn't block. He just
doesn't have effort. But number 28 was Thielen. I thought he might be on your list. He wasn't on your honorable mentions.
He's not good.
He's good.
He's good.
He's a good receiver.
He's a mid number 2.
I disagree with that. I think he's a very high end number 2.
He's like 39.
Yeah, but he was really good when he played last season.
Yeah, Bryce Young really unlocked another level of Adam Thielen.
No, Adam Thielen helped Bryce Young look okay. Like, that's what happened. He's a very reliable target that can do a lot. And I think that is, like, a really underrated asset. Like,
if he was your number 2, would you be excited about it?
Yes.
What? If we signed him, I'd be like, great, we got another number 3 receiver.
I'd be like, great, we have a number 2 finally. Like, he would easily be our 2. Of course I'd be excited.
He had 600 yards last year.
Yeah, he played 10 games. Like, of course he had 600 yards.
He just wasn't...
He would have clipped 1,000 easy. And he didn't
when Bryce Young turned on, he was cooking. And when Bryce Young was sucked, or Andy Dalton was in there, who was playing not the worst football of all time, he was not good at all.
Thielen was good that week 2 or whatever when Andy Dalton played well.
Against the Raiders.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Yeah, everybody was good.
And then Bryce Young was absolute garbage for a lot of the games this season, especially towards the beginning. It's not his fault. Like, he can't do anything about his
The only time he looked good was when Bryce Young was elevating the whole offense.
Do you not believe
that? Yes, I do. When Bryce Young played well, their offense went from the worst offense
played well the
to
whole time.
Average offense.
Thielen played well the whole time. It was just about if Bryce Young could actually get him the ball and see over the line. Or if he was...
Oh, that's a good one.
That's not a joke. He jumped to throw the ball over the line. He jumped, McKay. He jumped.
He didn't throw it over the line that time. That was a check down that you're talking about. He jumped for no reason.
Jumping. So, I don't know. I think he's super underrated. Like, I'd be very excited if he signed Adam Thielen. Obviously, I think he's going to take a step back this year. He's getting too old. But last season, he was good. Very good. Number 29, I had Khalil Shakir. Obviously, you're
34.
34. He's good. He's not crazy. I'd rather have him as my number 2 for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't really want him to be my number 1, but he's kind of the play style I want for my number 2.
Mm-hmm.
You get a big body number 1, you put him next to him. That's a perfect compliment. Obviously, Josh Allen and him don't really work well together at all. Play styles don't really make sense. And so he would have had a lot better production probably if he went somewhere else. he is like the ultimate discount version of Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably just way better after the catch.
Yeah, I don't think they play too similarly.
They
They just play underneath.
They have a really similar route tree, is what I should say. But I think he's very underrated. Obviously, no one really knows about him. Got an extension for a reason. Good wide receiver. Surprised to have him above you for sure. But
yeah,
obviously
especially after
very similar,
everything.
So
You call me a Khalil Shakir Glazer all the time. He's just a phenomenal too. Like he's so good after the catch.
This is why
he's got some of the best.
He's just phenomenal after at the two. Like
No,
bro.
and his hands are phenomenal. He has like a 93% catch rate or something ridiculous. It's the best in the NFL over the past 2 seasons or 3 seasons, or however long he's been in the league. He's just, I mean, obviously the difficulty of his catches is not crazy.
But you mean
just
not crazy? You mean like I could catch 93% of those passes, bro?
No, you catch like 70.
Bro, my hands are crazy good. I would catch like 93. I'm telling you.
No.
He doesn't catch anything more than 5 yards downfield.
But yeah, he's one of the best run after catch receivers. He's just like, obviously he's never going to take over a game, which is why he's obviously not a number 1 receiver, or shouldn't be. I guess he is technically, but he's the guy that he's one of the top guys I'd want as my number 2, as you said. So, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like anybody talks about that.
And then we haven't talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. He's
He's
really
a weird
good.
player.
He's weird. I think he's really good. It's just that Kyler did not like him.
Mm-hmm.
No chemistry there, like we talked about with Garrett Wilson. But he still put up 900 yards as a rookie. That's a very respectable rookie season.
Actually, it was only 800 yards.
I think it was close to 900. I think it's like 897. You should look at it because I think I'm right.
I don't think so.
I think so because like that is a very respectable rookie season, especially for a guy that like isn't having. What do you have?
It takes a while.
It takes forever. You take so long. You're terrible at looking up stats over here.
885. So
Yes.
800.
So almost 900 yards is very respectable for a situation that was not good for him necessarily. With the connection, hopefully that connection takes a big step because this is a guy that could jump all the way to the top 10 this season. Like he is so unbelievably talented. You see how jacked he is? He's jacked.
Yeah,
man.
because when I watched Marvin Harrison Jr., the number 1 thing I was thinking of, if only he had more muscle. Like, that is not what he needs.
It's still gonna help you though.
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe it weighs too much. He'll slow down.
I don't know.
He's like 94 speed in Madden.
What really?
It's like, okay.
People didn't
It's
talk
like
about
90.
him enough though for how good he actually is already.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he caught half the passes thrown his way.
Yeah, but that wasn't necessarily his fault.
Yeah, that connection's genuinely terrible.
It's horrible.
Kyler
Might be
wants
the
to
worst in the
throw.
league.
I think Kyler wants a guy more like, what's his name? The little guy, Greg Dortch. That's the guys that he has good chemistry with.
Was it Marvin Harrison that was wide open and he looked Greg Dortch's way at the beginning of the year?
Against the Bills, right?
Yeah, they would have beat the Bills. So
Mhm.
that's pretty funny. Number 32 though, I had J-Mo. I think you had him 32 as well.
Mhm.
Very good number 2 once again.
Mm-hmm.
Deep threat, but can run some other routes as well. Versatile, just really, really fast, able to use that speed to his advantage. Not really have anything else to say about him, though. He's just a really good receiver.
Yeah, I mean, just pure deep threat, but super good at that. Had over 1,000 yards with like 50 catches. Super valuable. We didn't talk about Travis Hunter.
I did a little bit.
Yeah, he's such a good receiver. I almost wish we split him into 2 different players so we could actually see what he could be at receiver and see what he's going to be at corner.
He's a better corner.
Yeah,
just
I'd
is.
say so.
He just is.
I think he's a better receiver right now, but I think his potential for corner is
No,
way
he's
higher.
definitely better at corner right now.
I don't know.
He is.
Like there was times where it felt like he was not giving his full effort, and maybe that's because he was playing
tired.
receiver. Yeah, but like it's like I don't see him doing it at the NFL level, so I don't think he'll ever have a huge season. I don't know how much higher he's going to be than this
I don't think he'll be this high at this
Yeah,
year
it's-
if he
it's
plays both
tough.
sides of the ball.
because the talent's definitely this high.
Yeah, but
And I think
he
he's
doesn't
this
know
good of
how
a
hard
prospect.
He doesn't know how hard it is to play both sides of the ball. That's how good of a prospect he is if he just plays receiver.
Mm-hmm. And then he can also play corner, which he's better at.
No,
but,
what I'm saying is you have him that high based on if he's only going to play receiver.
Yeah.
He's not going to, so I
Yeah.
can't put him that high.
that's fair.
Is there anybody else we didn't talk about?
Matthew Golden, he didn't.
He's on your list?
He's on my honorable mentions.
Oh, I was like, holy crap.
I have him 36.
Yeah, I mean, a little too high, but
I mean, I just thought he was a phenomenal prospect, complete receiver. I think
he's a good
he's
prospect.
going to open up the downfield game for Jordan Love, the middle of the field. It's going to open up the whole offense.
He's going to open up the entire field.
Yes,
That's how it works.
Okay, I think he has an outside shot at getting like rookie of the year.
Interesting. I
Like-
think it's going to go to Genti. I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, but there's also like a world where Genti gets 1,100 yards, and we could be seeing like that's a really good season. But
He's
like
going to get it if he gets 1,100 yards.
What if Golden got 1,100 yards?
I think they give it to Genty.
That's lame.
Well,
I should
I'm
give
just
it to
telling you, I
Golden.
think Genty's going to get it no matter what. And
Yeah.
also, he's not getting 11.
And then Flowers, we didn't talk about.
You put him on the list?
He's in my honorable mention.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
35.
he's very overrated.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
how he made the Pro Bowl.
super, like, obviously another guy, like, right behind Shakir. I want him to be my number 2.
And he's fine production-wise,
yeah.
but you should be if you have the quarterback with the most yards in the league.
Lamar threw like 46 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, like you should be good production-wise. He should be better, way better production-wise, honestly, if he's a number 1. So, I don't know. Very overrated receiver. But I think that's everybody.
Yeah, that's everybody.
So, yeah, that's our top 32 list. Let us know what we got wrong down in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss when we do our predictive list closer to the season. But thanks for watching and have a good one.